Welcome everyone to the show. It is time, what you have all been waiting for. It is the Groove of War Grand Finals between Ash and RedHalo. I'm Gavin. I'll be bringing you this match alongside my friend and co-commentator Daak. How are you, sir?
Good, thank you. I gotta stay home from work today.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's especially fortunate since last night you were in quite a battle. You were actually the one of the four semifinalists. Played Ash last night in your game. I don't want to dredge up too many bad memories from that, but that was a 2-0 loss.
Yes. It was a very long game, and yeah. Not too much to say right now, just because there's still a lot of self-reflection, still a lot of analysis to be done.
And I think you're a solid player, but that also speaks to just how good Ash is going into these finals.
Yeah, Ash is definitely a strong player. His history shows it.
So once again, those are the two players. It is Ash and RedHalo. I know that Ash went through most all of the tournament without dropping a game. I don't think RedHalo dropped a game either, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I'm fairly certain he did not drop a game either.
So 2-0s. So that would be, I believe, 6 games in a row. All of them 2-0.
Yep. Since both of them also got a bye because of their really high seed.
Yep, 4-0 from both players. No confusion with disqualifications or forfeits. So that sort of sets the stage for our grand finals here. Ash versus RedHalo. Now, there's a few things I want to talk about before we get into the game. First off, let's talk about the strategy that both players have sort of telegraphed, both in their stream, in Twitch chat, in Groove of War Discord, and that is just this really simple, strong, effective strategy of pikeman, trebuchet, and then something to handle air to counter it.
Yep. That seems to be fairly the meta right now. It's especially supported by Nuru, who is fairly strong. And I think that's a big part of it too. Just the power of Nuru is to throw down a trebuchet, so it makes the strategy much more powerful as a whole. So
now you had two strange games where you had to try and fight against that. If you had to redo anything from last night, what would you do, and what would you sort of suggest to either player if they decide to go for a more non-traditional build?
Well, I think Ballistas might be a valid choice, but I think overall it's just having to play more against Nuru, figure out how to play against her, slash consider her potentially overpowered. That's, I think, definitely the linchpin of this strategy, more so than most people think, because the ability to immediately get value from your trebuchet the second you put it down makes the investment of a trebuchet much less painful than normally buying a trebuchet, right? Normally you buy it and then maybe you'll pay off in the future. It's also a risk if it dies, you're set really far back. If you can put down a trebuchet and immediately have it pay for itself back by picking off a high value target, then that's what makes the trebuchet powerful in the first place.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if the strategy changes for this game in particular, since both players have agreed to ban Nuru.
Right. And let's talk about that really quick.
Yeah.
So there's some match conditions here. Do you want to run down the 3 big ones for us real quick, Doc?
Sure. So the 2 of them that they came to a mutual agreement is no Nuru and Henry, which does make the pikeman spam and trebuchet strategy a lot less good because of the whole trebuchet investment I was mentioning earlier. They both agreed to play with no weather. So weather itself isn't a terrible idea, and it does help break stalemates and does a lot of good things and adds a lot of interest to the game. The downside is, because of the way the weather works, it's a huge first player advantage for the entire game.
Right.
It basically means
it's a fun mechanic, but it's not necessarily a good mechanic, is what it comes down to.
I think there might be a way to salvage it, but really it just comes down to turn order being so difficult to deal with.
It's not something that we'll be able to salvage at the very least. That has to be from the developer level.
For sure. Yeah, it comes down to whether in general, first turn advantage is something that's always been a struggle to balance, and Chucklefish has shown that they understand the problem, so I imagine that this won't stay in it for long. Notably, that second player usually gets an extra swordsman, which usually does the job without the weather issue, but the weather issue has definitely been overlooked to an extent. And I think if I speculate a bit, just from my time talking with the beta testers, one thing that might have made the issue worse than it might have is that a lot of beta testers played a lot of games without weather on because they realized how broken it was. So right. It may have kind of slipped by a bit like that.
One more thing about this game is both players did agree to an 8-minute turn timer. That is being both enforced by, I guess, the stream plus by TO. Both players are self-timing themselves on that, so it should speed up the match a little bit, but ultimately I think both players are going to use the time allotted, especially since they have like a concrete number on it.
Yep. Yeah, the penalty for using more than 8 minutes is actually just skip your next turn, so
wow,
I imagine we won't be seeing either player either go over it.
We'll see some haste, but I don't think we'll see a little less reassurance, I guess. But at any rate, we're going to go on to give you a quick recap of this game. Well, apparently we're not. So, the way I understand it, I just got a note that Game 1 just ended. Our goal was to give you a very quick recap of that game. Sounds like Ash won on Bam Bam Beach, so that will put Ash 1 game up on the series. Our goal was to give a recap of the game via the catch-up, just the catch-up, not mechanic, but the catch-up feature when you join a game late, and then cast it from the present onward. Looks like that's not going to happen. So we went live. We actually went live 30 minutes early, but it looks like we went live 5 minutes too late, huh, Doc? And I did get a peek at the map positioning. It looked like RedHalo had really lost on the right side of the map and had lost pretty handily on Naval. Naval got locked by a pair of turtles from what I saw. Aquanauts moved up quite a bit. Sounds like Ash really had that game on lockdown, once again winning a match on Bam Bam Beach. So unfortunately we won't be able, because we got in there just too late, we will not be able to give a speed up replay of that game. If you want to watch the VOD for that game, Ash is live streaming his POV of this stream. Go give him a look and check out his VOD library if you're interested in watching what happened in Game 1. So with that, I think we've set the stage enough, Doc. We're going to be right back as the players set their next game, and we will see you guys on the other side of a quick break. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with Game 2 on this stream of Ash versus RedHalo. We'll see you on the other side of break.
heat like it was 1941. Play that silky tune and let me show you how to love.
Hello and welcome back. It is time for Game 2 of the Grand Finals between Ash and RedHalo. This is Groove of War. I'm Gavin. I am joined by my co-commentator Daak. How are you doing today, Daak?
Doing great. Gotta stay home. Always a good day.
Had time to lick your wounds from the night before? Not that I'm gonna keep on bringing that up every break or anything, but Daak played Ash last night to a 2-0 loss. Ash making it into finals, which we are catching up to now. RedHalo, coming from the NA side of the bracket, he won his match 2-0 in semis against Storyteller.
Yep. We didn't get to see that game, but we have shown Story Eater a couple times now on the stream, so a lot of people should. And we've featured RedHalo before as well. Both players have shown their streams. They've both won games, but it looks like RedHalo got to go to the finals.
Now, you did actually catch up to part of that game. Is there anything that we should know about Game 1, just in a nutshell, that might help us understand what will happen in Game 2?
I think one interesting thing about Game 1 is that it looked like it was pretty heavily decided by who won the naval side to me, as well as just overall, that seemed to be where the advantage really started to pile up. And it shows that people are starting to play a little bit more naval than we saw in the earlier rounds, for sure. You gotta respect the naval on a lot of these maps now.
No, this one though. It looks like the players are gonna play on Rambling Range. One of my favorite maps in the pool, actually. I don't really want to speak too much to its balance, but I might employ a cheese strat or two when I play on this map.
Do you want to explain your strat, or are you're gonna keep it secret?
No, I don't think it's gonna beat anyone who's decently better than me, which is a lot of people. But normally on Rambling Range, I'll usually go cross map with my commander in a wagon and just beat up their stronghold. I take the factory next to their stronghold as well. Kind of forego the tower, but I usually go commander trebuchet. And then foot soldiers to hold off until I cheese their stronghold. I have a feeling we're not going to see that this game. But it is, no. This is a map where really understanding how mobility works in Wargroove is an important thing.
For sure. I agree entirely. I think I've only played one map on it, and I ended up doing kind of a cheese, but it was also just, I feel like, punishing him for not taking his barracks quickly enough.
Now his near barracks or his same side barracks?
The barracks that's hard for him to reach. I think you are supposed to get the barracks that your stronghold is across from, right? Like I think the front is supposed to be north versus south, right?
I think so, but it can easily be west versus east. The reason why is because I think when a lot of people first play the map, if you encounter this map for the first time, I think you forget that you can run through your stronghold. I think a lot of people, with their commander, I know I see some people with their commander will walk through. I mean, it's woods, stronghold, woods, plains, I believe. It's not difficult to reach with just walking.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty slow, but it's very doable. And I think that is what you're supposed to do. But we'll see what these players decide to do.
Right, I'm very interested to see this match now. Let's give a quick recap on just a few base rules-ish about... wow, okay. Let's give you guys a quick rundown. So, first off, Ash picked side, and RedHalo picked map.
Yep.
A few quick notes about this match. First off, both players have made gentlemen's agreements to not play Nuru or Tenri. There are no weather conditions because of first turn advantage woes. And they're playing on a self-enforced and moderately enforced by the TO 8-minute timer per turn.
Yep. I'd say it's pretty enforced by the TO considering the penalty is lose your next turn. Which I think is roughly close to lose the game.
Both players are very... Oh, man. Alright, I'm just staring at these commanders. I've never seen them before. I don't know who they are.
Oh, man. If Ryota wins a finals, I'll have to go back on so many things I've said in my life.
Man.
He is one commander I can not for the life of me understand.
Excited for a pretty good match here. Ash did win game 1. I think at this point Ash is probably the favorite to win the tournament. Well deserved.
Yep. He's shown that he's a very competent player.
Right. RedHalo has an uphill battle.
Yeah, I mean, he's already behind, right? And it isn't as severe, but one thing that in a lot of Ash's games, one thing I actually didn't know until I played against him is technically the rules state whoever wins the coin test gets to decide if they pick map or not. Which I feel like
I was wondering if that was in the... I've always read that they pick the map, but I've always known it should be they pick if they pick the map or side.
Yeah, I think the fair reading, a kind of literal fairish kind of reading of it does say they get a pick. It just says the winner picks. Doesn't say side or map. So I
mean, it's
think
still 50-50.
Yeah,
like if you hard enforced it, I mean, what's the difference? You lose the coin flip. Now you're just rooting for the opposite coin flip. I mean, it's still 50-50.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of players didn't know that you could just pick order instead of map.
Right.
I know I talked to at least one player who said that they didn't know that and feel kind of off about that, but
I have.
It is the rules.
We did actually. Right? I talked about it during your match a little bit. I was mentioning that I would always pick side, especially for next tournament. So in this tournament where there's 20 maps and a lot of them are garbage, I would be okay with picking map first, only because I don't want to get cheesed on something I'm completely unaware of. But if there were a 7-map pool or an 8-map pool and I knew every map, then I would pick side every single time. Anyways,
yeah,
both players
that's
taking
all kind of petty right now
before getting into this next match. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty common. You pick, you choose position or map. I'm pretty sure that'll be clarified much more, especially like when it matters more when you've got a definitive map pool.
And when we have tournaments with actual rewards behind them and everybody's competing. Like, the big kind of shadow around this tournament is that none of the beta testers, they kind of gentlemanly agreed to not play in it. And I've played with one of them before, and it was an extremely close game. His ability were far above what I normally play against. And then I remember he said, yeah, Anemone Mir, she's on another level from me, and so maybe we'll get to see her play at some point.
Yeah, it might be sooner rather than later.
That would be amazing.
Actually, I'll go ahead and we mentioned it last series, but I'll mention it again for everyone who's here. After this tournament, I'm not sure when the next Groove of War will be. I don't know if we'll cover it quite to the extent we covered it today, but we will be starting the King of the Hill series. I'm not sure if it'll be weekly or bi-weekly yet, but we're going to have, we've already got confirmed Anemone Mir to join us for that, and we're going to invite top seed downward from this tournament for a chance to play in that first King of the Hill match.
Oh boy.
So that will be tentatively on Thursdays. We're calling the event Tempo Thursday. It'll be a King of the Hill series for reward, actually. So we'll see who can take the championship.
Yep. So for anyone who doesn't know what a King of the Hill format means, it basically means, so we'll probably start with, say, since we're going from top seed down, Anemone Mir versus Ash. And the winner of it will win a small prize, but the real prize is really that you get to play against the next one, and then we go to the next name on the list, so that would be me. I would then play against Anemone, and then
I think it's
whoever wins.
Well, yeah, standings, not seeding.
Oh, sorry, standings. Yes. So then it would be RedHalo versus whoever wins that one, and then it would continue on like that, basically as long as we make the list.
Right, and we're gonna at first invite the people from the top standings in this tournament. But we'll be taking applications, so show your competitive prowess, go get some accolades. I placed this in this tournament with this many people, or I have this much experience, or I was a beta tester, and we'll get you a set of matches that showcases the game, showcases some of the best players in Wargroove in a King of the Hill format. Very likely going to be a best of 1 and 2 challengers every event. Is the way that I'm looking at it right now. So, yeah, a lot of you can take the hill, but then lose to the second challenger. It's going to be a little intense.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a nice sort of carryover between the previous ones, and you get a nice season. And one of the big benefits of the format is it's pretty flexible time-wise. If we have a game that goes on longer or games that go on shorter, we can fill in the time or push matches later on as need be.
But I think that it's equally intense if you do two challengers a night and a best of 1, because you have less time to adapt and you have to win against 2 completely different people if you're the champion that week.
Right.
And then if you're the first challenger who gets to win, then you have to, hold on to that spot against someone who you likely haven't really scouted either, so...
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Definitely the idea of having a lot of time to prepare for a specific match might change things. Try to find out what you know with the player, what kind of things they like to build. That could be very interesting to see how the meta game develops, because right now it's all just mechanical skill that wins games. There's not much meta play or playing to specific weaknesses. It's all just very basic fundamentals. Whoever has the best fundamentals wins.
Right. We are still waiting for the players to finish the break between their game. They just played game 1, lasted about an hour and 40 minutes, I believe. We were not able to bring you guys game 1, but if you'd like to see what happened in game 1, go check out Ash's stream. He's streaming Wargroove right now. You can find him under the Wargroove category. Check out his videos tab. You should be able to find the VOD to his game 1 and be able to get a quick recap on that. If you're wondering how the series got here. That link is in chat. Looks like something strange. It looks like that game did start already. So we're going to quickly refresh this lobby to make sure that we don't get kicked out of it. Try to get into this game for you guys. We're only missing turn 1, 2, whatever, so. That is strange. Daak, are you able to view this game? Okay, so alright, so here's what happened. This map set is wrong, the weather is random, so they actually moved to a new code. Didn't get the information to us, so hopefully this lobby is invalid. We'll be getting to a new one any second now. Tio is going to grab the code for us. And we'll be in that game shortly. There's a lot of logistics that go on in the background. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Once again, you're watching the Groove of War Grand Finals. Starting Game 2, Ash took Game 1. We did not feature that match on stream. Bit of a scheduling conflict. Meanwhile, we are able to bring you Game 2. Ash won Game 1. Mercia mirror match. Game 2 will be played on Rambling Range. It looks like Ash will be playing Caesar from what I saw. I was not sure if he made a switch on that. RedHalo playing Mercia. We are waiting for the code to that new game. And we'll be able to quickly recap turns 1 through 3 for you guys, hopefully. Alright. We do have the code to the new match. So we'll be getting in there and recapping the match right now. Turn 1, it is Ash on the bottom side of the map versus RedHalo on top. You're joining us for Groove of War Grand Finals. Let's go. It's RedHalo versus Ash. Ash going first. He is on the bottom side of the map as Caesar. Top of the map as Mercia. In the blue is RedHalo. That won't be confusing at all. Let's get it on. Game turn timer. What? I'm not keeping track of that. Let's go. Grand Finals. Ash versus RedHalo. I'm Gavin, joined by Daak. Thank you all for joining and hoping to bring you guys some great action, some great strategy tonight. RedHalo on the defensive. He is down 1 game. See the commander crossing the map. Crossing the stronghold, gonna take his near barracks. Caesar doing the same thing. That is pretty much the intended way to go about it. Mainly mirrored right now. The wagon is there to catch that early soldier.
I'm going in.
The wagon does carry one soldier past the midline for RedHalo. Like me and Daak mentioned, it is very important to showcase your mobility in Wargroove on this map, especially. So we are seeing a bit of a push from RedHalo. He is a little off tempo. He's going to be one village behind. Or rather, he's going to be one soldier behind. I doubt that the soldier on this wagon is going to be very effective with Caesar, a pikeman, and a soldier there. So that little push RedHalo probably could have caught.
I'm going in.
Probably could have caught Ash off guard, but didn't. Ash was easily able to respond. Very familiar with the maps. Soldier does retreat in the wagon. It'll take a little bit of time for anything to chase him, but he's probably just going to cap this factory to slow down production for Ash. Turn 3 Trebuchet, by the way, from Ash. Going to be very important to keep the midline on this map. I'm not exactly sure how this soldier is going to get out. The road is blocked. The wagon blocks it on one side, the soldier blocks it on the other. That wagon is not going to be able to escape with its if the soldier is probably going to cap the factory and then get routed out. It'll save a little bit of time the factory having to be retaken, but factories don't provide income, so might not matter. We are done catching up. Had a little bit of issue getting into the game, but we are here now. It is turn 5. We're caught up to the players, so the initial board state has been set. Daak, how do you feel about the early trebuchet? How do you feel about this soldier getting pinned in the bottom right of the map? Good input. RedHalo has mentioned that whenever he plays on this map, he goes for gamble strats. So we mentioned earlier, I mentioned earlier that I have a few strats specific for this map in my pocket. RedHalo has the same, but I'm pretty sure that they've been mainly shut down by Ash's corner push. Again, the soldier blocks the wagon, the pikeman in the wagon block the wagon. There's no real way for RedHalo to get out of the corner here. Daak having a few technical difficulties. He'll be back with us in a moment.
Sorry.
Welcome back.
Yes. So what I was gonna bring up is I think this wagon is potentially extremely effective because
the one on the bottom right for RedHalo.
Yes, or sorry, for RedHalo, because from here he's gonna be able to probably pump out a revenant here, or a giant, and doing that, what's Ash gonna be able to do about it? What's Ash's answer to a giant here? He has what? A pikeman, a soldier, a wagon, and a commander. That's not exactly easy to deal with, right? And he can just keep pumping out units here. And I don't think Ash is going to be able to... Ash doesn't have the tools here to stabilize that.
Okay, I thought Ash actually countered it well, but you're telling me that this is probably going to be... Okay.
Yeah. My big reason is it comes down to what's this... How is he going to deal with what he can pump out, right? He doesn't. His factories are so far away. Is the problem here?
And you called it, by the way. That is going to be 1,300 gold next turn for RedHalo.
Yeah. One thing I think would be really interesting for, I think Ash is out to this situation, honestly, is what he needs to do is capture this bottom left-hand airport and maybe make some kind of play there potentially. Because otherwise, this pressure on the stronghold is going to go unanswered, right?
What about the trebuchet? Couldn't it come down and cover the giant that way?
That's going to be too many turns too late, it comes down to,
giant,
right?
I mean, the giant has to spawn, then it has to load in the wagon, then the wagon has to get to the stronghold.
The giant can reach there in 2 turns from the factory.
It can't load the
Giants
wagon.
have...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But giants have a lot of more ability than, well, I think anyone feels like, because we're all used to giants being
They have major
incredibly
mobility.
slow.
I wonder what Ash is thinking right now. Because he knows he has to do something here. Well,
Yeah.
okay, so if he spawns a giant, it's potentially gonna get, well...
I guess what Ash does is he just blocks it and tries to stop it from doing anything, right?
Yeah, so what RedHalo has to do is, he needs to take this 2 health soldier and move it like 1 step to the left, right? So that
Right.
way it doesn't get boxed in by soldiers. Because that 1 turn is... You block it for 1 turn, and then the wagon comes in, blocks it for another. That's a 2-turn delay, and you should have some type of defense by then. If it's not the trebuchet, then it's something out of the near factory.
Yeah, we'll have to see how, because even as much as he blocks it, right, it comes down to he has to respond in some way to it. And right now, he just
It's not a full
hasn't
block
yet.
either. The giant can actually run through the factory in the wagon and go the long way that way. But either way, there's going to be like some pretty... Not complex body blocking here, but... There should... I don't see how Ash won't delay at least 1 turn.
Yeah, Ash definitely has time, but he has to send something to it, and he just hasn't yet, is what it comes down to, I think. Maybe it's too much playing Nuru, because if he was Nuru here, he'd be fine. But this kind of reminds me of my first game with Ash, where I was able to take a production facility like this, and his commander was kind of very alone and was only really effective because it was Nuru and was able to make it very effective like that. He's not playing Nuru right now. If he was Nuru right now, we wouldn't be saying any of this. Ash would be 100% fine if he was Nuru right now. But the interesting thing is that he's simply not.
I think that if Ash manages to survive this, which I think is very possible, he definitely has a stronger board state at the moment. 2 trebuchets, the commander holding this incredibly long line of units on the right side. Those are all units that aren't positioning to help anywhere else on the map. Those pikemen will take forever, the soldiers will take forever.
Yeah, I haven't played enough on this map to know how the direction usually goes beyond the first couple of rounds.
I've never seen a stalemate on this map either. I don't see how there could be, like, a very long one, but... I've been wrong on that statement before.
Well, what I'll say is that this map has some really nasty choke points. Like, what are you going to do if there's trebuchets behind both lines of trees, right? It's very hard to break any kind of position. I suppose it might come down to late game air units, I want to say, but this could be a long one.
Should RedHalo not finish it here? Which I think is difficult.
But one thing a lot of high-level players talk about, I talk about a lot, and I've even heard Ash mention at least a few times is that builds are basically a resource, right? Every ground unit costs a build plus its gold cost. A build meaning like a turn of factory. What that means is that, sure, he's not getting income from this, but he's just going to have more units. Low-cost units like pikemen and swordsmen are extremely gold efficient. So even if he's behind in income right now, I think the extra build is more valuable, even if he's not going to be able to maybe use it as efficiently as if it was on his side of the map. But I'd argue this is probably even better.
Even if Ash does manage to defend on this, he does, those are resources that aren't being spent elsewhere. Although, I mean, double trebuchet on the left front line, if he can manage to sort of not spend a ton. RedHalo has 900 gold, that becomes a mage instead of a revenant.
A mage here would... I'm not sure if I like the mage play here. Not quite sure what it's trying to achieve. Maybe just another unit to help pressure the HQ.
I don't know if he's going to pressure the HQ at this point. I think every unit that comes out of that barracks is going to be there to just be a thorn in Ash's side. I think he's playing for mid-game stronghold instead of early-game stronghold at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm really curious about that mage. I think that was a really poor choice.
The mage is there for the mid-game because the mage is there to protect against an air counterattack when he does go for the stronghold.
Right, but what I'm thinking is it just took a huge amount of damage, right? Just right there. I guess it's damage not being done to the factory, but I almost feel like it has to be a misclick or something. But I could just not be seeing something.
I guess the mage dying makes that plan not work quite as well.
Yeah.
As is what happens.
If Ash should come down with his commander now, because he could get a decent box in, potentially. That wagon being there is a really nice placement from... is a really smart placement from RedHalo, because if RedHalo put it one unit down, then that would be one less space for him to work with and actually make it easier for Ash to box him in and maybe stop him from being able to produce units. Because you do need an open space to produce units. But so putting it there was definitely the right call, but we'll have to see what he does.
With the pikeman and the soldier there, I'm not sure what could get produced that won't be handled pretty quickly for a few turns at least. I'm actually kind of paying attention to this blue wagon here. I'm trying to figure out what would happen if it blocks Caesar out of the road.
I think Caesar this turn is going to get healed. Yeah, Caesar's going to get healed this turn. I am...
He's running, yeah.
Fairly certain. He needs to get healed. Once he gets healed, there kind of loses the ability for aggression. Like, if you just keep throwing units at a commander that just heals, you're going to lose the gold fight, because commanders are valued at 500 gold. And trust me when I say they are way better than any 500 gold unit in the game. I think, yeah, I'm really surprised he didn't go with a giant last turn. I guess he's trying to use his builds efficiently with all that stuff. And maybe that's why he got the mage, right? Some more support for the Revenant when that comes out, and just makes this a huge issue, because what Giants do so well is they tax builds. They won't ever win gold efficiency-wise, but they will win in terms of just sheer numbers of units. No unit can really 1v1 them, except for, like, you know, dragons or trebuchet in the right scenarios. So if he does that, like, these units are just gonna die.
Yeah.
Although Caesar will probably be an important part of dealing with any Revenant that comes out. Caesar still has to be healed before he can really fight it. If he punches a Revenant at 6 health, he's only going to do about, what, 24-ish damage to the giant that's just going to absolutely demolish his health and probably kill him next turn.
I think that one thing we should maybe pick up on is that neither player have taken any towers. I think that's a pretty common strategy on this map. You buy the tower when you need it, it's right there, but you're not going to produce from it. Might as well not take it right now.
I think this could be a scenario where maybe Ash feels forced to take his bottom left tower because RedHalo might just take it, and if you don't want your opponent to have that tower. But I feel like RedHalo probably has a plan, but I'm not sure what it is.
We could use this.
I wonder really if that mage was just a pure misclick, and then what was it like? What was intended? Because I get why the mage would be a bad call there at that time, but I'm not sure what would have been a good call at that time either. Because he built the mage last, I think. I think he built the soldier, pikeman, and then the mage.
And I think that might have been the issue, is that he was thinking that, oh, I still have enough money for Revenant, and it was like, wait, I don't.
That would be pretty bad counting. I hope that's not the case.
I mean, things happen in games.
But he still built the mage. He went under buying the pikeman. He went under buying the soldier. Then he bought a pikeman. Then he built the mage. So I'm kind of baffled by that one. You're right.
You know what? And buying the mage is actually really bad because now he can't buy a Revenant, the giant still. So it's truly a baffling play. One thing about RedHalo's overall strategies worth mentioning, though, is that sure, commanders are great, right? But they will struggle to deal with large numbers of pikemen like this, especially if he keeps pushing it with 2 factories worth of pikemen pouring down here. Yeah, he's forcing Ash to do something about this, just as a whole. He's kind of just overwhelming him. I think I'm tempted to say that I would rather be in RedHalo's position than Ash's right now.
I think that's a little bold. Do you think this column of soldiers is threatening?
At the very least, it ties up what Caesar can do. Like, he's tied up his right side, and it's so difficult for Ash to reinforce that side, I feel like. I think that's what it comes down to. Because RedHalo already has a 5-unit advantage, right? And that's only just going to keep going up.
It is true, as long as RedHalo has that bottom right barracks, it's going to be a lot harder to deal with this push if it goes literally straight down. I'd imagine that Trebuchet in the back is going to get involved in the right side of the map somehow at this rate. I also think that would be a great time to take that tower, maybe play a Harpy. Left side, the Trebuchet is in range of this village, but I would say that's one way to accidentally start charging Mercia Groove, but RedHalo does have Mercia's Groove up. Trebuchet cannot pass that forest tile. Eagles cannot move in forest.
Yeah, it's worth noting that even if Ash charges up, so that did happen, which is a good play. It still makes the mage super questionable, but he's going to go for that tower, which is super nasty, just as a whole. I'm really surprised that Ash didn't respect this whole tower push by capturing that tower on the left, because now once RedHalo starts getting air units here, That's not easy to deal with in this area.
I don't want to discount Ash just yet. I still think that he obviously knows what is going on in the bottom right. I think he's still waiting for it to actually become a notable threat before he goes for it. But I'm pretty sure Ash likely has a decent timing here. So for every turn that Ash does not invest resources in countering this push, those are units that are moving up to the top left to eventually kill Red Halo off of a traditional strat. All of these soldiers are on the right side of the map. That means they're not on the left side of the map. But that's all army resource that's not going to defend against this Cavalier, Trebuchet, second Trebuchet, 2 pikemen on the right and on the left. I mean, Ash needs to kind of wait, not put too many resources in. He needs to put the pressure in, start establishing the ground here on the left side of the map. Meanwhile, Trebuchet does decide to enter the fray in the middle of the map.
That's a great position there because that'll curb what Red Halo can do. I know he's just moving as much as he can, but that's a nice coincidence for him because what could have happened is just Red Halo poking Caesar again or poking that village. It's just a little bit more difficult to do that. He can still hit that village with a pikeman crit, which will probably neutralize the village, which is something that Ash can't really afford to fall behind in income right now, since Ash's greatest advantage right now is that he has a small income advantage, right? And that means that he can actually pump out high-tech units to deal with the sheer masses Red Halo's pumping out, but
Trebuchet does a lot to hamper unit movement on that right side of the map with the mountain and tree combination. Cavalier kind of just gives you a good idea on how I think that Red Halo is in a really bad spot on the top left of the map here. Between the Cavalier and spread out pikemen, the Trebuchet to break up the line, I would really just not want to be. I don't like that, man. I think that Ash has got her.
I understand why psychologically it's very bad. But at the same time, this Trebuchet is going to take forever to move up, really, right? It comes down to, if you want to push quickly, you don't really want to use Trebuchets. Trebuchets are for slow pushes. And what's happening on the right side is not a slow push.
I mean, that unit column needs to be able to move through Trebuchet and Caesar.
I think that unit column is just to stop the Trebuchet from making it all the way to the bottom right. It doesn't have to really do the killing blow so much as it just needs to keep zoning the units away from the bottom right-hand corner.
Wagon position to pick up the mage, maybe? The mage or the pikeman. I'm assuming that was max.
He has options for next turn, when he wants to move. Like, one thing about that mage placement, or that wagon placement, is it lets him drop the mage right next to his stronghold if he needs to. Next turn. Which means that it should be able to deal with any air attacks Red Halo pulls out.
I mean, isn't it true that Red Halo can just play a dragon in 2 turns and there wouldn't be anything to stop it in time at this rate?
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
I mean, the ballistic position. the Ballistica position in time. In the bottom left.
Yeah.
It's only going to be one turn behind.
I mean, what it comes down to is just throw a dragon at it. He's not going to be able to camp the... He's not going to be able to camp the tower, right? So he can just build a dragon, throw it at the stronghold. If he has the funds to build dragons twice, that will... I'm pretty sure that will kill the stronghold. Just off that, right? So Ash is going to be able to lock in that wagon, killing it, but at what cost? Yeah, I think Ash didn't respect how powerful this bottom right-hand factory is, and I really do say that I really like RedHalo's position right now. I think this is the kind of play that really gets Ash right now. He's a very technical player who likes when the game goes as planned, right? He wants to, he has his plan, he wants it to go, and when people start doing things that require you to see sort of
map is cheesy as heck. This map is cheesy as heck, dude.
Yeah. It's those plays that have many turns in the future, which is where I think in the future I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes what maps are more like, right? Because right now it's cheesy and doesn't feel very fun. But in the future they'll be, I wonder what this crazy move is going to lead to, and just be able to see that many moves ahead. Right now it's just really hard.
Okay, so let's say that the next two turns are... It can't be dragon. It has to be dragon, wait one turn, then dragon. But let's say that there's two dragons in the space of 3 turns. How does Ash have a single option here?
I guess he tries to put a mage in the way. I think that's his plan right now. Just try to body block. But yeah, as I was saying, this unit column on the top, on the right for RedHalo, it's entirely expendable. He's just using it to slow down that trebuchet, slow down reinforcements, put more pressure. It's just really there to make Ash's life absolutely miserable. And it's doing its job. It's not cost efficient or efficient in any long game scenario. Like in the scenario where this unit column just dies, Ash is going to be completely... Ash will be so far ahead in resources, but RedHalo's saying, no, this is where the game ends. Essentially. I wonder if he'd go for that giant now. That giant is looking really good right about now.
So to be clear, the problem isn't being able to kill the dragon here. The problem is you have to block the stronghold. Because the dragon can reach into all 4 sides of the stronghold. So even if you kill the dragon, it doesn't stop it from being a kamikaze unit.
Exactly.
So any solution to this problem involves taking the tower, surrounding the stronghold, and neither of those are going to happen here, I don't think.
I'm tempted to say the wagon might be able to make some miracles happen, but that's just because wagon plays are the hardest thing to predict in the game right now, and I'm not confident to say the wagon can't do something. I think we'll be able to tell a lot from what RedHalo buys from this bottom right-hand factory, because if he's buying a cheap unit, he's going all in on the dragon plan. But if he buys something else, that could be also very interesting. So he goes for a knight. Oh, that's interesting. He's really actually threatening Caesar now as well. So, one thing that I kind of mentioned but didn't really see happening actually, I don't think I mentioned it at all, if I'm perfectly honest, is that Caesar's in that bad spot as well.
We were really paying a lot of attention to the potential double dragon, but instead, Caesar might get forced off the map.
I just didn't think that Ash would let this happen, but look at this position. Caesar's thankfully in trouble. He's lost the city there to heal. If he goes to this city on the right to heal, he's in so much trouble. He goes down to this city, towards this city, he's also in trouble. I think I wouldn't be... I'd be very comfortable calling this for RedHalo, I think. He's... Oh man, this is super nasty. I think Ash was relying on the threat of the trebuchet to keep the path clear for Caesar to come left, but he didn't consider what if RedHalo just says, screw it, I have to go in now. And that's what RedHalo did. Which is one thing to note about trebuchets, right? They only... they can only hit one thing a turn, right? So if you put a bunch of units in there, is kind of the same as only putting... is much better than putting only one unit in there. So it changes that dynamic a lot. So Ash actually brought his mage all the way up here, which I think is super dangerous, because now that dragon play is hits it once, and the dragon's not going to die. Ash can't get an answer out there in time, and RedHalo has more than enough money for a dragon next turn, so I think this is very potentially just game over here. Yeah, I think that night, what it really did is it scared Ash more than anything. It means that, oh yeah, no, now you have to worry about your Caesar. So Ash is actually going to go for that tower now. He's looking to cap it, probably pump out a witch. But here's the thing, the dragon comes out next turn, Ash captures it next turn, the tower is hit by a dragon next turn. Ash will probably be able to severely damage it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but I think Ash is in a big world of trouble right now. I think what this night actually does a lot of things when I think about it. Firstly, it puts a lot of pressure on the commander. Secondly, it's a longer term answer to the trebuchet composition and just to damaging units over here. And thirdly, it can work as a threat to the stronghold. Knights do plenty of damage to the stronghold.
Now, I know you slightly alluded to it earlier. A mage wagon, by the way. I know you alluded to it a little bit earlier, but maps like this that have these, I'll more or less say alternate win conditions, but cheese, right?
Right.
Should a map like this, I'm pretty sure it's Rambling Range be in a shortened map pool for future tournaments?
I think it comes down to the kind of tournament that you want to make, right? I think I would compare it a lot to chess. Chess has lots of different formats. If you didn't, well, most people probably don't know. Most people know, oh yeah, each player gets like 30 minutes or whatever to play their turns, and then you use the chess clocks that everybody knows that you hit. But there's also speed chess, right? Speed chess, you get like, what, 2 minutes each player, and running out the clock is a huge part of the game. And then some people play shuffle chess. Like, there's different ways to play it. And I think this game is kind of similar in that aspect. You could say, yeah, we're going to play these really crazy maps that require a lot of forethought and comes down to making some more risky, uncertain plays that will really favor players that have a strong abstract understanding and can just kind of feel their way more, use a little more intuition instead of a lot of mathing out exactly what should happen at each spot. And in tournaments where, yes, the map pool is all these very honest, straightforward maps that comes down to which player is better at solving the puzzle that is Wargroove.
So it kind of comes down to maps with multiple quote-unquote win conditions are good, but not ones that are so simplistic it falls into the category of cheese.
I wouldn't be sure. Like, you have to go with the actual definition
Dragon
of
1,
cheese,
by the way.
right?
Well, I'm speaking so vaguely. I don't want to... The last thing we want is for Twitch chat to start arguing with us about the definition of cheese. I played a lot of StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty, man. I'm a pro at 6 pool.
Oh man.
But I you know, people said I cheese when I 8 pooled too, so I don't know. I don't want to get into that argument.
I don't know, now it's just 13 pool, right?
Right. God, gee, I'm not, okay. We do play StarCraft on this stream, by the way. Check it out.
Oh, I was always so terrible at StarCraft. Still am. I think my highest is I got to Platinum once.
Depends on what game did you get Platinum in?
1v1s?
No, like Wings of Liberty, Hero Swarm.
Oh, Wings of Liberty, yeah. Way
I mean,
after,
that's decent. Platinum in the launch is good.
No, but you have to understand, this was when, what's the latest one name again? Legacy of the Void. This is after Legacy of the Void came out. I got Platinum in Wings of Liberty.
Oh, wait. I'm not gonna comment on that. Caesar's in a really weird spot.
I just played Mutiling a whole lot.
So I'm assuming that Caesar's gonna pin himself to this village to just sort of stall out, right? He's just gonna keep on healing.
Yep, that's all he can do. Like, what else are you gonna do here?
It doesn't matter. But that's the correct play, like entirely, right? Like, because the mage, the knight, and the trebuchet are gonna be able to free Caesar from here if Caesar can, you know, physically not die.
Interesting. Caesar's actually perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Caesar sits on that right-hand tree, and he cannot be touched. He sits to the right of that village, and there is no unit in that composition that can hit him.
It's true, too. Okay,
so, so the Caesar death thing, but this does make Caesar irrelevant, which is a huge deal when, oh yeah, Dragon's about to start pounding at the tower. And
yeah, now Caesar has to fight through 10 soldiers to get out of the corner. I think that Caesar doesn't get in the corner. I think that Caesar just heal buffs, like, he just heals through the fighting off the village on the left side and lets the mage, cavalier, and trebuchet save him.
Yeah, but I think that's not the win condition right now for RedHalo. This is kind of a nice fork right here, right? It's like, what do you do if you're Ashe? You have you have options. They just both involve losing, so...
Ouch.
And I imagine that's what a lot of good games and even in chess is a thing, right? Your win conditions usually ends up being a fork or a pin or something like that.
You play for stalemate if you're black. If I'm Ashe at this point, this sucks. If I'm Ashe, I'm thinking about the most honest, straightforward map to destroy RedHalo on next game. I'm scrolling through the map pool on the side, and I'm looking at, 3 pikemen will work here, and he can't cheese me. 2 factories and no cheese. That's a good choice too.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. That's probably exactly what he's thinking. And suddenly we've somehow... I mean, without the weather mitigated, I think picking a map is actually kind of an advantage again. Because if there was weather, then I would say, oh yeah, well, in the straightforward map, RedHalo wins every single time. But without weather, then yeah, Ashe can pick a map that favors him.
Ashe still hasn't lost, by the way. I don't want to say, like... You mentioned that wagon play is a little weird. It just feels incredibly bold for me to say that Ashe is going to lose this match, especially after last night's games. Like, I'm not making any prediction. You could be 1 health on the stronghold with a completely clear line, and I'm still not gonna say, Ashe lost.
I mean, there were factors that he had in his favor, there were factors I had in my favor, right? So you could make an argument that way. This just comes down to, yeah, one of the players has the other guy in a maiden 2 or 3, potentially, and the other guy just doesn't, right? Like, I think it would be fair to say Ash is on a timer, right? He hasn't found a way to get out of the timer, so he's on a timer. And if he's on a timer, how does he win before that? Is what I think it comes down to.
Ash electing to break Caesar out, and the tower does finally get capped. Saw the pikeman making his journey that way. Might as well be called a journey. Mage trying to get into position. Again, just so everyone kind of is keeping track, the goal here is not to be able to kill the dragon. The goal here is to have to retake the tower or surround a stronghold. Otherwise, RedHalo can just continue to carpet bomb the stronghold. He won't be able to do it 2 turns in a row. He'll have to wait 1 turn in between. And honestly, it's going to be a massive mistake if RedHalo doesn't just build the turn 3 dragon here, right? Like, if he doesn't build a dragon turn 12, it's just more time for the stronghold to get surrounded. Thank you to everyone who's joined us so far. You're watching Game 2 of the Grand Finals of Groove of War number 1. Ash playing red as Caesar. Playing Mercia in the blue is RedHalo. Not confusing at all. We're honored you guys decided to watch with us. If you want a POV of the stream, Ash is streaming his point of view and his logic as he's going through this right now. A lot of insight from his channel. Check him out for some good POV action. Meanwhile, we'll try to bring you the broadcast from the bird's eye view.
So, I think one important thing is that RedHalo has a very important decision to make, and it's very important he bombs that tower, I think. That's the correct position for this dragon. Because he can't afford the dragon next turn, he won't be able to go for the kill on the stronghold immediately. So instead, if he bombs this tower, it gives him another turn. Then he can have 2 dragons at once attacking it. He moved his knight up there, which I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of that. That might be a mistake. That could be an issue. But I hope he at least moves this pikeman to the left if that's what he's sort of going for.
We need... Well, so you think he should attack with both dragons at the same time? Or should he move this dragon and attack now? Or... Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because if he...
No, he...
I'm not sure exactly how much damage dragon. How much does a dragon do to a stronghold on planes?
Pretty sure it does about 30-ish. Don't quote me on that. I don't have a matrix up. It's not devastating. Like, you can't 2-shot a stronghold with dragons. No, I think you dragon... You hit him with the dragon turn 10 here. Or rather, turn 11. And then you'll be able to attack again turn 12. At least a mage won't be able to counter you, right?
And
then you get...
that might be the right way.
You get the turn after that. You get turn 12. Or rather, you get... Okay, so dragon can move this turn. Excuse me. I was not remembering it was some cooldown rot.
Yeah.
Turn 10 dragon hits, turn 11 dragon hits, turn 12 second dragon spawns, turn 13 a weakened dragon and a full dragon attack the stronghold. That's more than enough to take out the stronghold.
I'm wondering if those mages will be able to get there enough to maybe change that equation a bit, is my other thought. It is very difficult to tell right now, actually. The mental math is challenging here.
And if all of that fails, then we start playing from the barracks. Because RedHalo has completely sealed off the side of the map.
Yeah. And I'm going to get back to what I was saying earlier about that trebuchet to the left there. It's basically kind of, I kind of conceptualize it as, it's like Ash built a second village there for 800 gold, and it's earning him 100 gold a turn by denying that village for RedHalo. Is how I'm vaguely seeing it. So sure, that trebuchet pays off in like a whole bunch of turns, but that's all that trebuchet is going to be able to do. It can't win him the game. RedHalo's probably taking all the time he can to think about how these next moves play out, because it is very difficult to calculate all of this. I'm wondering if RedHalo's actual plan is just to go for a Caesar at this point. I'm not sure if that's better or worse. One thing to mention, actually, okay, he's going all in on Caesar instead, which is very interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out. I have not thought about this line nearly enough to be certain, but it does look fairly powerful.
So, unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, there's no real way for RedHalo to pin Caesar to the road, so it will take a little bit longer if RedHalo does go all in on this part of the strategy. But I was kind of thinking what would happen if, if you don't want to play the Mage Stronghold equation, you might as well just go all in on Caesar, and this is... Yeah, I'm scared if I'm Caesar. This is terrifying.
Yeah, like, sure, here's great.
This is terrifying to watch, dude.
Because what's gonna happen is, if you wanted to say something quickly.
No, here's what's gonna happen. The pikeman's gonna kill the soldier in the pikeman in the forest, and the trebuchet is going to kill the other pikeman to the left, and Caesar's gonna run away from the left side of the map. The mage is gonna cover Caesar.
But then Caesar's sitting on a road. And if you sit on a road next to a dragon, you die. Frankly. I guess there's a really strong play in the case where the trebuchet hits it, he brings the mage down, and then he uses his groove on the mage, potentially, is the only out I see for him.
Well, but he'll also like land in the woods, and then use the wagon and a unit in the wagon to cover one flank at least.
Right.
So he could block his left flank big unit from the wagon. Caesar stays in the woods, and then he's only getting attacked from the north and east.
That is possible as well.
I think the dragon pulled out too early. I think the dragon should be going for the stronghold again. I don't know how I feel about this.
I think, though, it's fair to say that just through the income advantage RedHalo's gotten and the unit advantage, even if Ash survives this, I think RedHalo is favored right now.
I don't think he has an instant win condition anymore, though.
No, he's... oh, and there goes that line entirely. It's always fun when you theorize a nice long line, and then a player makes a play, and you're like, oh, I guess that can't happen anymore. Not happening a lot this game.
Well, now Caesar is in threat range by 3 angles. He could do the original play you alluded to, which is hide in the woods behind the house. But then the dragon kind of just gets free pickings on him.
Yep. That will only do like 20 damage a turn, and with the 5% healing each turn, that's like a good 6-turn timer for him to get out of there. So I'm not sure if Ash has the force, even with that kind of timeline. And it's worth mentioning that RedHalo could pull out a trebuchet from that bottom right hand and start poking away at it too. I think what RedHalo needs to build here might be a ballista, just to keep that witch away. But even then, he could just use his mage and cover all those things. One option that RedHalo does have that I think would be a mistake is he could build a witch here to try to deal with that witch, but I think that's a mistake. Ash might just be using this witch honestly to cover this tower, neutralizing it effectively, which would help him a lot just from any more dragons, because when 2 dragons come in, the shenanigans are twice the amount.
The witch spawn is pretty good because the witch will reach the dragons attacking Caesar before the dragons can finish him off.
Yeah, but then it comes down to if RedHalo can cover it.
Alternatively, out the barracks could spawn a trebuchet at the bottom right to also pile onto Caesar.
It does take like 2 turns or so before that starts kicking in, but that could be the right play here.
It takes just as long for the witch to kick in to stop the dragons, though.
That is very true.
The second dragon's not locked next turn, by the way, by the witch, but he also can't spawn a dragon.
Might be a mistake.
He can't spawn a second dragon, doesn't have enough gold.
Oh yeah, that as well.
So
he might have actually miscalculated that, just on the basis that he forgot that he loses a village every turn. Because I have made many misplays like that in previous sets. If that makes sense. Yeah. Yep, there goes that village, and he can actually capture that, and that just completely locks Caesar in there. Sure, that's giving Caesar groove, but who cares about giving groove at this point?
Caesar ran outside the house and they locked the door. Jeez. Nope, you're a backyard dog now.
You don't get to be inside anymore.
Nope. Caesar in the doghouse. Coming up. A little bit of trouble.
You know, just because of the sheer factories and income advantage, I wonder if this game state has actually degenerated for Ash enough that in any kind of long game, maybe it just takes forever for Ash to pile through this, because pikemen are still pouring out of both of these factories, and that just makes any advance so slow, because even if you can deal with pikemen, it takes a long time. So it looks like he's gonna pick off that village. That just strengthens his position, makes it a little more difficult for Ash to build the units he needs to deal with this. Yeah, Ash won't be able to build any unit that could potentially help him, except maybe a Harpy, and he does go for the Ballista.
The Ballista's in range on spawn, by the way. It doesn't have to move.
Yep. I didn't do the math to figure out which one is faster, but that's definitely fine.
That heal was very valuable in the sense that the Witch can't come in and hex Caesar out of the situation anymore.
Yeah.
Also, the Witch would have problems doing anything with the Ballista there as well, so...
Yep, I think the Ballista... I was considering between the Ballista and the Trebuchet, and I think the damage is close enough that the Ballista's utility of zoning the Witch is so much more valuable. Exactly. Yeah. Technically, RedHalo did give the option for Ash to charge Groove. Unfortunately for him, all he does is get more Groove. Yeah, he's already 100% Groove. Yeah, I think hitting the stronghold came down to the fact that the math was a little fuzzy. There was a couple plays that Ash could have made that made things scary, but I think this play was much more guaranteed when it comes down to it.
Yeah, definitely.
I think both plays did lead to a win, but I think this is the safer play for sure. So he did make the right play here.
I spent so much time thinking about Stronghold. And I wonder if Ash saw this win condition quite as much, because he actually didn't invest that much gold in stopping the Stronghold. So I kind of think Ash also kind of thought that, well, Caesar's also a threat, so I don't want to overinvest in the Stronghold. But then he also wasn't really in the position to invest enough to stop this push either.
No, he was in a bit of a pin.
It was kind of like a lesser of two evils, but they're still both like lost conditions for him.
Yep. Yeah. It's almost easier to call games between very good players than very bad players, because when you know both players are going to play at a very proficient level, you know, oh yeah, this guy
he's going to go for this or this, nothing's going to surprise you.
Yeah. I remember when I was casting the game last week, I was like, well, the player has advantage, so I'm gonna say they win eventually at some point, and then they start coming back a little. It's like, oh no, that player's winning again. And that went on for a long time.
Most entertaining game of the tournament was probably Tyrus Gov, Josh. Just massive shout-outs.
We made history on that day. We made history that day.
That was awesome.
That
Not
was
to say that this match isn't good, but that match was entertaining. You want to give a quick recap of that? Just how would you summarize that Tyrus Gov Josh series? In just very, very briefly, how would you describe it for those of our audience who haven't seen it?
So in game one, imagine positions where both players have simultaneously somehow have given up a lot of just map control out of fear of specific units, and neither player capitalizing on the fact that they actually have an advantage with those specific units. So it's just two very good players look at each other and say, no, I'm not coming in there.
It was basically
like, I'm not gonna come in here.
How to win map positioning and lose it simultaneously. Yes. For those of you who have not watched it, you can watch it. It was day 2 of our Swiss bracket tournament, so that should be in the VOD archive. And as a reminder, we're going to be uploading all of the games that we streamed to YouTube throughout the week.
Yep. I'll say that I'm also planning to upload at least some of the games, and I'll be commentating them with other players, give their insights on specific games.
Daak entering the world of content creation.
Yep, and we're also going to edit them, so we're going to make them so if it's a 2-hour match, it'll probably be shortened to at least like an hour, hour and a half, just so that we have enough time to talk and cut out a lot of the dead space in between.
Now, when Daak says we, he does not mean I. But from now on, when we say Daak, you have anything to shout out? He's going to have a YouTube channel to shout out to. So, congrats to you, man. I'm excited to see what content you come out with. I think this should be over for Ash. Don't really see a way for Ash to win with this one anymore. And I think that RedHalo kind of put him in a position where he didn't really have a legitimate comeback. Didn't have a legitimate way to come back in the past 3 or 4 turns. Do you think that Caesar... Yeah. We mentioned earlier that Caesar could have taken cover in the woods to the left. Do you think that might have been a saving play? Or do you think he was probably done for either way?
I think even if that play is a saving play, which is hard to call in the first place, it also was a play that relied on some good RNG. Like, a 13 health Spearman had to do, I think that unit had at least 8 health at least. So you were really banking on some good numbers to actually be able to kill that pikeman, right? Not saying that he shouldn't have gone for it, but even if that play is a saving play, it is still relying on just chance.
Again, Ash is definitely considering what map he is going to utterly destroy RedHalo on in revenge for this cheese. The worst part about this is Caesar doesn't die, Caesar runs away, but he has nowhere to run away to. He's surrounded. What's he going to do? Jump off the cliff? Poor Caesar, dude.
Oh boy, I'm not the fan of dogs, and I feel like I'm gonna remain silent on this discussion.
Alright, you're off the broadcast. Anyways.
I think the worst part about it is just how long this is taking. Like, I'm not even sure if Caesar dies next turn, if I'm fully honest. But there's still nothing.
I mean, look at what just happened. He dies to Ballista Dragon?
Nah, Ballista's gonna do... Ballista literally does single digits amount of damage to Commander and Forest. Dragon is gonna do... Yeah, that's... It might just barely be enough, but there's a very good chance it's not. But even without that, look at what just happened to Ash's army because of the aggressive position he was forced to take. He was forced to slam his army into a pike wall, and as every player who's played some online probably knows, throwing your army into a pike wall is very bad.
Well, they could play your strategy and not attack the pike wall too.
I mean, that wasn't an option in this case, but yeah.
No, I mean, I was just making fun of you because, you know.
Oh, I see. I see how it is.
Oh, you're here, and I got called out for making the wrong call. So you're getting roasted to make up for it. Meanwhile, hey, Daak, you want to cast this match with me? No, Gavin, go away. We're done. Gonna make content without you.
I wanted to... Another player approached me, and I think it would be cool to give different players who are playing in these games a chance to talk about what they think, just to get insights, thoughts, since not all of them are streaming, right? And even the ones who would like to express what they were thinking in those situations might not... We compete while streaming, right?
So we do try to offer post-game interviews. So that's one avenue. The important thing is to know that, you know, in the future we should have a bit more of a steady schedule. But just note that we try to have matches. I know it's a little tough to coordinate with your opponent, but we try to make it public like when we're streaming. So you can get your match reserved for a stream match, featured match. Alright, so that's going to end it. Ash knows that Caesar has no real way out, and RedHalo as the Blue Mercia will take the win here. Thoughts on just okay, I don't think Ash really took much mental fatigue there. He kind of just knew, I guess this is happening now, probably brushed it off, and is ready to just like drag RedHalo into just a messy slog of a fight next map.
We'll have to see. Yeah, it comes down to what the next map is, how he reacts to it. I don't really know what's going to happen because I think it's starting to become more and more obvious the map does make a huge difference on the game, and it can completely change the nature of the game, right? I'll admit to not being super familiar with the map pool yet, since it's very new, haven't got a chance to play on all the maps yet, and even within those maps, which ones are specifically legal right now. But I'm sure Ash is going to spend this break or whatever time in that last game, just doing a lot of research.
Definitely. All right,
yeah,
and RedHalo needs to prepare to play a very standard game at this point. Like, I'm pretty sure that even though he is more proficient on some maps than others, I'm positive that RedHalo, Ash is going to try his best to take him to a map where RedHalo has to play as honest as possible. At any rate,
yeah.
We will see you guys on the other end of a break. You're watching Groove of War. I'm Gavin, joined by Daak. We'll catch you on the other side.
Before you make your skin turn pink. Eat too much and you'll get sick. Shrimps are pretty rich. なんであいつらはピンク動物園で思ったピンク食べ物でそうなんだ実は私はたらこが大好きプラスエビカニ食べよピンク色になるのだからみんな違う色人間で勘違いしてるよね Black, white, green or blue Show off your natural hue Flamingo Oh, 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 oh If you're multicolored, that's cool too You don't need to change It's boring being the same Flamingo Oh, 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 oh You're pretty either way 鶴の尻尾下に向かって曲げたらフラミンゴ意味不明だけど面白いでしょ虹色に染まった世界今日も地球のどこかでエビをむしゃむしゃ食べてフラミンゴはピンク色に染まっていくぜ One, two, three Black, white, green or blue Show off your natural hue Flamingo Oh, 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 oh If you're multicolored, that's cool too You don't need to change It's boring being the same Flamingo Oh, 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 oh You're pretty either way How many shrimps do you have to eat before you make your skin turn pink? Eat too much and you'll get sick. Shrimps are pretty rich. Green or blue, show off your natural hue. Flamingo, oh, oh, oh. If you're multicolored, that's cool too. You don't need to change. It's boring being the same. Flamingo, oh, oh, oh. You're pretty either way.
Hello. Hello and welcome to Groove of War. You're watching the Grand Finals between Ash and RedHalo. The series is tied 1-1. We weren't able to bring you Game 1. If you want to watch that, go check out Ash's stream. Link was in chat earlier. I can't really drag it up right now, but he is in the Wargroove category. Check him out to go see match number 1. Match number 2 on Rambling Range was a bit of a cheesy play. RedHalo took him to a map where he had
Yep.
Sorry, got a little confused just by what I'm seeing on my screen right now. But at any rate, at any rate, okay. So game 2, Rambling Range, RedHalo took Ash to a map where he had a very definitive strategy, and that strategy worked out for him. I'm assuming that looking at the map now, Ban Beach, a favorite of I'm pretty sure Ash takes most of his opponents here at some point. But definitely should expect a more standard match. I know he played him here game 1. Now, you know, here we go, right? There is this rule in Smash, we call it Dave's Stupid Rule, where you cannot take an opponent back to a map that you've already won. And that rule is not present in Wargroove, naturally. That is a very unique thing to Smash Brothers. But perhaps it should be a rule. I mean, you can get taken back to the map. It's if your opponent allows it. I cannot imagine that RedHalo wants to go back to Ban Beach. But I don't think there's a clause preventing this, is there?
No, not at the moment. Yeah, just on the whole topic about maps, I think map pool alone will make tournaments very interesting. I'd be interested to see an entire tournament on one map. Especially if it's like a new map that's made specifically for a tournament, and then you just have everyone play it and see how that goes. I think that could be really interesting.
A little scale. I mean, you gotta remember, a tournament is the better course of 2 weeks.
Depends on the size of the tournament and how big the map is. Could change things, right? It could just be a medium-sized map that just that has a lot of little tricks in it, a lot of techniques you might get to see. Now, I think it could just lead to some really unexpected stuff.
I know that this tournament is one rule in this tournament is that you're not supposed to play commanders that were unknown. Part of that, I assume, was just because we didn't know an unknown commander was just broken for the sake of being broken.
And also just
which isn't
give players
thing.
a chance to actually unlock it.
I don't.
It would kind of. Oh.
So here's the thing. I don't. So he's technically not allowed to do this, but I can't see I'm sure RedHalo is like, okay, if you think you're confident enough to do that, go for it. Okay, he got the switch off. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that RedHalo would have been completely fine with it. Merciful having no groove.
Spoilers, man. That's spoilers. Sorry,
guys. I'll say Merciful's groove is less than average.
He's basically Sedge, right?
Well, the payoff is about 3 times as takes 3 times as long.
Yeah.
At any rate, here we go. This is the final match of Groove of War. I'm Gavin, joined by Daak. I'm happy to bring you this match. Game 3 between Ash and RedHalo. Ash on the top side of the map as the Red Caesar.
Wait. Did RedHalo choose to go second? I'm pretty sure RedHalo... That seems surprising. I admit to one reason why I've chosen this map is because I think this is one of the few maps where second player has some interesting plays, but that is strange. Especially with that line, because I think that gives player 1 a fairly large advantage. Well, we'll see how this plays out.
That said, Ban Ban Beach is a very balanced map. Like, when we were talking about an honest map, Ban Ban Beach is one of them.
I think at a high level it might be. Oh. It looks like there might be an issue since it looks like RedHalo did want to go first.
And just pick the wrong side, assuming...
Yeah, that Ash would be on the right side, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah, if they remake for that reason, then Ash absolutely has...
Remake.
Yeah, okay, so if they remake, I think the RedHalo absolutely has the rights to request that. While they're sorting that out, let's quickly recap a few specific things for this set. So these aren't set in stone rules, these are gentleman agreements. But both players chose that not to play Nuru or Tenri. They agreed to always sunny weather. And they agreed on 8-minute timers.
Yep.
And just to be clear, the current quote-unquote argument is that when someone picks map, their opponent picks side.
No one has ever picked to go second, I'll say.
Yeah.
Consciously. So it's some pretty... I mean, arguably you could say he never had a chance to choose which side. He just joined the game and assumed everything was fine. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's hard.
Alright, I got official confirmation they are absolutely going to pick. Yeah. They're going to remake.
I wouldn't fault any player particularly on this. You know, things happen.
No, as long as they notice it quickly, right?
Yeah. If this was like 3 turns in, then that'd be like, huh, but you probably wouldn't notice this 3 turns in as well.
It was before any major it was before any major non-infantry purchase.
Before any real decision even, like, what are you going to move apart from this? Well, maybe...
Oh, my infantry went left! My entire strategy's been ruined!
I mean, on this map, stuff like that does happen, which is one of the reasons why on quick play this map can be kind of cutthroat.
Just to be clear, I don't think that this was, like, in any way, shape, or form, like, an on-purpose way to try to get an advantage. I think that the players
I absolutely agree.
The players either thought the sides were correct or forgot entirely. RedHalo might have thought, geez, actually I meant to go first, and I didn't mention that. Like, this... yeah, obviously, there's nothing malicious here. It's just gentlemanly remaking a game.
We could use this.
We are now into game 1, or wow, we are now into remake number 2 of game number 3 in the grand finals, final match of Groove of War. It is RedHalo in the red, finally, and Ash in the blue, playing Caesar, RedHalo on Mercia, Let's go. Best of 3 final match. Doesn't get any better than this. Both players were undefeated up until this game. Nothing really exciting happening here in the opening turns, obviously. I know that one early decision is when you get your first amphibian out. I noticed on your match with Ash, you guys had very different pacing with that.
Yeah. This map plays... Opening is very weird, and I think RedHalo may have just made a mistake there. But I could be wrong in that. I'm still fairly confident the right play is to capture the village so that you can actually control the island. But he's also had a weird contradiction in his play. He chose to move that up instead of to the left when he built it on the left side of the barracks, so I'm not quite sure what went on there. Could be a small mistake. And RedHalo is trying something very interesting right now. I'm not sure what he gains from that, potentially. And he's building a dog. This is very interesting. Sure, we haven't seen. I'm not sure what RedHalo is doing, but Ash is probably on high alert for any kind of cheese at the moment. So he's going for that, which is interesting.
While we're still early in the game, I do want to show, like we said, Game 1 was also on Bam Bam Beach. I kind of want to put on the screen a clip from Ash's stream, kind of the game state these guys were at in Game 1. So you can see that RedHalo had a very strong middle push, but look at the C units at the end of this game. Just a massive lockdown on the ports. RedHalo really didn't have much to push with on the right side of the map. RedHalo eventually just had to drop out of this one.
I'm going in.
So this was a few turns before RedHalo conceded Game 1. Thanks to Ash IRL for having this stream and feed up for us to get a look at this game. Hashtag production value, what? Back to the game at hand, however.
So RedHalo's already gone for his amphibian. Looks like he's going to use the dog to try to dislodge anything if Ash tries to take control of the island, so that's going to be fairly interesting overall. So yeah, it's still strange that that RedHalo didn't choose to take his village here. I'm not sure if it's right for Ash to actually take that village right now.
So thinking back to Game 1, thinking back to Game 1, I think that RedHalo is giving special attention to the C this time around. We can see that from the early merfolk.
Sure.
Probably doesn't want to lose on the same condition.
Yeah. That's definitely very true.
This dog. I've been staring at it for a while now, and I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, so he does go for that village, and I wonder if Mercia is gonna go for just stealing another village, or just hitting it and getting some instant groove charge. I feel like Mercia takes long enough to be useful. She might just go for capturing this and see what comes out of that. This is pretty hard to tell what's gonna happen.
Yeah, not very exciting. It's really hard to see how the match is going to line up just off the opening moves on Ban Ban Beach.
Yeah, and that purchase right there was a very difficult one for RedHalo, right? He's clearly going to want to control the naval a lot more in this game, and he was deciding, what unit am I going to buy next?
So, actually, since we keep on referencing Game 1, let me pose this question to you. Do you want to be taken back to the same map in Game 3 as Game 1? I would think that, like, on opening thought... Originally, I thought, no, I would not want to be taken to the map I lost on, but RedHalo has a lot more information to work off of.
Right, and another thing worth mentioning is that this time, it's not the same, right? I believe RedHalo was going second on this map in Game 1. Although I could be wrong about it, but I'm fairly certain of that. So that alone makes it kind of like a potential redemption scenario. So Mercia got a lot of groove there. She is up to 80% groove. The only thing about her groove is there's not...
Don't die on me, Doc.
There's not a lot of early game scenarios where it's like, oh yeah, Mercia's groove is gonna be great. How you there? Yeah. So it does look like Ash will take control of that middle island for the next little while.
Actually, Doc, I'm not sure if you know or not, but do you know who picked Game 1's map?
Since RedHalo was going second, I'm fairly sure he's the one who picked it.
So RedHalo picked Ban Ban Beach game. Okay.
Yeah, bit interesting.
And then knowing he won on it, Ash took him back to Ban Ban Beach. You know, I've been talking about DSR like in the Smash community. I don't think DSR cuts in when I think it only cuts in when the winner picks the map. If the loser picks the map and the winner takes him back to it, I don't know if it counts or not. It's been a while. I think we'll need confirmation on that from another source. But, interesting, still. So if dogs can't flank and dogs can't crit, then why are dogs on the map right now, Doc? Can you answer that for me?
They're pretty good at killing swordsmen. That's all I got for you, honestly. Yeah, I think there's some merit to buying dog in specific opening situations, but I don't think this was one of them based on the way RedHalo was playing. Maybe RedHalo had a particular plan, but it got derailed. There was still that super strange turn 3 Mercia play where he moved Mercia and didn't capture that village, so I'm really not sure what to say after that. So, just give the name of DSR. What do you know the origin story of DSR or the legend around it?
I'm vaguely familiar. Are you asking me because you don't know, or?
Yes. And it sounds like a fun story.
There's a lot of stories in the Smash community about why names are what they are. Dave's stupid rule apparently was named after a dude named Scamp. I don't know much more past that original story. All I know is the player who was named after. Yeah, that was a long time ago, early in Melee. I see a few people mentioning that there are actually a few variations of DSR. The most common one is modified DSR. A player cannot pick the last stage they won on during the set, while any stages of previous wins are fair game. So that kind of more applies to games with, like, you know, best of fives, for instance. Doesn't lock down a lot of maps throughout the whole of a series. Wouldn't be at all a problem in Wargroove, since I don't think anyone ever is going to want to play a best of 5 in Wargroove anytime soon.
Well, you know what? A best of 5 could be like a sports game where it's like best of 5 over a whole week, and you like play a game every other day. You could have a scenario like that. Why not? For an extremely large tournament, that could be kind of fun. But yeah, I don't think a big reason why games have large best ofs is when they're a high variance game, right? Like fighting games, the best players lose to each other all the time.
There's a lot of instant like things you have to adapt to as well. Like, the longer the series goes, Game 1 and Game 5 are vastly different in fighting games, usually.
Even the StarCraft, from the little I know, just the whole idea that on a turn, isn't it always like map 1, usually at least one player cheeses? I
don't know about that, but...
Well, just to send a message.
I do know that...
I know.
I do want to mention, that's not to say that you can't adapt in Wargroove. Like, there's plenty of room to adapt in Wargroove, but a lot of adapting in Wargroove comes from inside a set, not from between games.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. There's a reason why a lot of games in this whole tournament went 2-0, right?
Right.
I think the stats last time I checked was about half the total sets came to 2-0s. So the game is pretty consistent. It's not like I know some people were bringing out Hearthstone comparisons, and Hearthstone, you need to play large sets because the game has so much variance, right? I mean, I think at least 20 to 30% of games is literally just whoever draws better with absolutely zero input on what the players do. So you need to have a best of 5 in order to determine who's the better player, because every set is just, there's so much variance, right? The best players have like 60-70% win rates. But in this game, where there's so little chance, there's so much calculation, there's so... misplays are relatively rare, we don't need large sets.
I think pool seeding will be a little bit better next tournament as well, you'll see. Not that pool seeding was like a science that you could have at all worried about in tournament number 1, but I think your top 8, top 12 is going to be a lot more competitive in the future as you see, you know, I think combined pools will happen next tournament. Like, don't quote me on that, but you'll never see like Ash and RedHalo in the same pool. There, you'll see them only playing each other in bracket. I'm excited. I'm excited for the future of competitive Wargroove. Happy to be a part of it. Happy for you guys to stop by and give me that chance to cast this for you guys. Daak, thank you so much for stopping by yourself.
Thank you for letting me onto this. This is my first time casting a game, and it's been really fun. I really enjoyed it, and have to thank you for this opportunity.
No problem, man. Here's to many more streams of competitive Wargroove to come. First Harpoon ship comes out from Ash. I know a lot of people have been asking for a caster versus caster tournament of some sort. I think me and MSB will 2v2 you and Kaal, and we'll show the audience why that's a horrible idea and we get destroyed.
We'll have to see, because the funny thing is Kaal and I seem to have very different opinions on the game as a whole.
Damn, which are we gonna get beat by? The broken Tenri, the broken Nuru, like... I wonder which broken way we'll lose the game with. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure, bud. If you missed it earlier, we did announce that we are starting Tempo Thursday. Likely not this... definitely not this Thursday. But,
No.
King of the Hill series. Try and get the best talent from Wargroove to give you two featured matches every Thursday night. Either every Thursday or every other Thursday. We're still working on it, guys. All that you need to know is you're gonna find the best Wargroove here on Gavin_XI, and you should give a follow. Turn 6 for RedHalo. Getting back to the game. This dog has a pikeman to worry about. But maybe not, because the dog's frog friend is right to the side there to assist with that. Turtle came out from RedHalo last turn. The Harpoon ship and the Turtle kind of, sort of, technically checking each other.
Yeah. I think the Harpoon ship's gonna deal with the Turtle usually a lot better than the Turtle can really do much to it. As long as the Harpoon ship doesn't sit in deep water, because then Turtles do a surprising amount of damage in those situations.
Harpy out from RedHalo from last turn as well. One last note really quick on that King of the Hill series. The way people will get into it is either by invitation or application. So we'll open up applications at certain points, or we'll look at past tournament winners. But the point is to showcase the top talent. So if you're interested in being a part of that as a player, then go out there and get some W's.
Yeah, it'll be a great time to see some good games. It's a really fun format because it doesn't require a lot of preparation. It doesn't ask too much of the players or anybody, and it's just really fun.
Daak is putting in his resignation letter to make sure he doesn't have to cast so he can play in that series. So what do you think about this village under contention here in the top left middle? This has been flipping back and forth all game.
Which village under contestant?
Well, the one between the two commanders.
I think RedHalo has enough pressure here that I think he can force Ash off this for now.
Well, the Harpy's an issue. The Harpy is gonna reinforce that, well, the Harpy's gonna, at the moment, rain havoc unless RedHalo builds a mage this turn, which I can't imagine he wouldn't.
RedHalo could answer with his own Harpy, but it'll be at a disadvantage being the second Harpy bot. On the other hand...
In which case, buy the mage so it can help you take the island or the village.
I think mages are pretty difficult to deal with air if it's on an island, just because of the bridge. It's hard for the mage to get a big, wide area to cover. So I think if you want to control the center here, or the more land battle, that's where a mage is much more useful. But overall, let's see. a mage is really gonna struggle. It's too easy to juke it out. What RedHalo is probably spending a lot of time thinking beyond just what to build here, because building here is pretty difficult choice. He has lots of mid-range options, right? He has just the right amount of money where he could invest in something big, he could invest in something small, but he also has to consider what he does with this middle village. He has a surprising amount of options here, and I don't know what's the right play.
He is a bit of an odd amount of gold, mind you, because of an early reinforcement. Not that that's not something you can plan for. Not that that's something you're not planning for. Minor income advantage, by the way, for Ash. The answer to Harpy or Mage was neither. It was a Pikeman.
And a Merman. He's gonna give that Harpy a lot of value just in controlling wherever it decides to control.
So just this turn, the Harpy gets a free attack on the village. That's
or
just
on the dog.
On the dog? Okay, or the dog. Probably the dog, right?
Yeah, I think probably the dog.
I think the village wouldn't be the worst play either. Because if you take the dog, then the Harpy can't kill the dog. And the soldier would have to shuffle with the pikeman.
Yeah, so I think that might have been... Yeah, that might have been a bit of an overextension, I think, on RedHalo's part, underestimating how much damage dogs take from Merman. Since I'm assuming both these players have played Advanced Wars before, at the very least RedHalo has, if you've seen his name on Smash GG. So he's probably used to turtles. They are roughly the equivalent of submarines, and usually they're pretty good against literally everything but the cruisers, right? Most things actually can't even hit them, especially when they're submerged. Which is one thing I really appreciate about Wargroove, is they really changed a lot of the non-interactive hits except for what matters.
They simplified the dumb parts. Or they removed the dumb parts while simplifying it.
It was so painful the first time you learned that a battlecopter can't hit a bomber or a fighter. They can't even hit it. That is super unintuitive.
So the Harpy does go for the dog that turn.
Yeah. I think it's because he wants to set up the crit formation with the pikemen, and that's the way to do it. Because, just because of the way these pikemen are positioned, he can't hit that dog with a pike crit, right? And without the pike crit, the pikeman would not have been able to finish off the dog.
These are 67 groove. Hopefully we'll get a better chance to use it this time around. Didn't really got forced out of it last time. Ash was more or less favored going into this match. RedHalo doing a good job to take this to Game 3. Ash taking it back to a map that RedHalo lost in Game 1, however. A lot of dynamics come to play when you take someone back to a map they lost on.
Ash is really focusing in on that island, and I wonder if now's the time where, if you're RedHalo, you just go in on Caesar, because, I mean, the big reason why he's kind of avoiding it is the whole not wanting to give him charge, but her pikeman could take a lot of hits and then just heal those pikemen back up. There's that utility for her group that she isn't getting any use of right now. She could also just send those pikemen down into the right and try to put some pressure on that eastern village of Ash. Maybe try to get a bit of advantage to that way. But I think the biggest threat to RedHalo right now is just the fact that he's slowly losing control of the naval battle, which is something he does not want to repeat.
And that would be a repeat. He did lose mainly on the sea last game. 7 health turtle surrounded by amphibians and a harpy on the horizon, and a harpoon and another turtle. So I don't see a move for this turtle aside from retreat. Maybe he trades with the harpoon ship a little bit, but probably still not the correct move entirely.
I think maybe what RedHalo does is just put his pikeman in a really aggressive position that just forces Ash off that village for now, because that is slowly being just a growing advantage for Ash. And income on this map is very tight, right? All production facilities are very relevant. You're gonna want every kind of unit on this map. Units are gold. Gold matters a lot on this map. Some maps I find the income advantage matters more than other ones, and this is definitely one of those maps that income advantage matters a lot more on. So we are
commander hit.
Yep, probably gonna go in on Caesar right now, not being too afraid to charge his groove because there's not much for him to use it on, right? Next turn he has to heal.
Yep.
We are moving everything in. Well, maybe, actually, yeah, probably heal because Caesar's movement is actually very limited, and this is actually
one way to
probably
push
gonna
him off the village
scare
for
him a
sure.
bit. Yeah, this is gonna scare him quite a bit. And he has to heal now. If he doesn't heal, he dies. So
I know the majority of our players or of our audience do know what Caesar's Groove is, but for those people who are watching Wargroove for the first time or might not have ever seen Caesar's Groove, can you explain it very briefly and why it's not really going to help much here for Ash?
Right. So what Caesar's Groove is it's a medium charging groove, and what happens is he basically, on the 4 squares around Caesar, where after he stops moving, he can do this. And he basically says to all those units next to him that have already taken their turn, you get to go again. So basically, let's say that pikeman was 1 square higher and Caesar came down beside the village and used his groove, he would get to move that pikeman again. but that is not particularly useful right now, and I think he will die if he tries to do that. Well, he might be able to live, but probably just wants to heal up here. So RedHalo has bought a Harpy now, and that's going to help deal with Ash's Harpy. Probably they're just going to keep zoning each other out as air fights usually, as they're usually played out. Looking for some value out of Mercia's Groove for sure, since that pikeman is going to be fairly aggressive, probably. We could see her try to really do something with it. So it looks like RedHalo isn't sort of going for the whole control the seas kind of naval control, but just looking to get these mermen here, which will help him control that island, and it will help put him a little bit pressure on the central part of this map. So between those two things, I think that's what he's looking for, which means that this turtle play was actually kind of useful just for the sake of slowing down any kind of naval advance from Ash. It's probably going to be 2 turns or so until Caesar has his groove anyways. Groove charges after you use... It's either after you use the commander or at the end of your turn. So you always know kind of if your opponent's about to have groove, well, about to be able to use their groove on their next turn, which is a really
It's not gonna
choice they made them design-wise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would be a nightmare if it's
that
like...
that prevents the groove from popping up at the beginning of a turn and you didn't count.
Yeah,
you can act your entire turn visually seeing that your opponent has groove up.
Yeah, you should probably be looking at how much they have, but yeah.
Well,
that would be really just brutal. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot to check groove, and now they have groove, and now I lose, because a lot of grooves can lead to those kind of situations. So yeah, it is really, that was a good design choice. So I feel like RedHalo, he's not really looking to control the island, but he's kind of taking a Scorched Earth approach to it with these mermen. He's like, well, I don't think I can control this island, but you know what? As long as these mermen are here, you can't control it either. I think that's what he's kind of saying with this.
So Caesar only has one move to him this turn. It's literally run and heal. Ash having his commander in lethal range, it makes sense for him to use the most of this turn. So what do you think is going to happen with these two amphibians? Two amphibians on the right middle side of the bridge. amphibians are ranged units. The harpies can push them off, but they won't because of the second harpy's zoning. So the amphibians are in a pretty decent spot here.
Yep. So I think what Ash has to be wary of is any kind of two-turn lethal here. I don't think there is one, but he's doing his checks and balances. He doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah, if he only has one move with Caesar, then he's not only thinking about this turn, but he's thinking about the turn after. What's the pursual going to be? Is Caesar going to be okay the turn after this one?
Yeah, I don't think Caesar can die in the next move, and he can always heal again. But the other thing about that is that means that's a lot of turns where Caesar can't fight, and RedHalo can make something happen with that, just to do that power difference.
Hey, Daak. I've been made aware of something to do with turtles on the map. Did you notice? What do you see when you look very closely at the turtle sprite with its idle animation?
I'm not sure.
The sprite actually goes outside of the limit on the square. And the top part of the shell gets cut off.
That is pretty interesting. I think the harpy also... A lot of units actually go outside the square, though.
Does the harpy? Go through... I don't think the harpy does.
The harpy absolutely violates the square. Look, it completely covers the square above it.
No, but the turtle doesn't cross over into the square. The turtle's top part of the shell disappears, hits a wall.
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying now. Huh. I think that could be dependent on the... Could that be dependent on what view you're looking at the game?
What do you mean view?
If you're on...
View are you talking about?
If you play on a Switch, there's actually two different zooms. No, it does not matter. Yeah. I think that's one feature I'd really love them to add to the PC version, because the PC version is in between the two versions, because the FAR version is only meant for TV mode, but I think it's just right for the Switch, personally. So I'd love for them to add some more zoom features, because, man, it is too small. So Caesar can only get can't get a full heal here because Ash is low on money. That could be on purpose. That might have been a mistake. It probably doesn't matter. I think Mercia might go on top of that mountain and just hit Caesar again, since next turn Mercia can just heal with her groove. Do we have a time for how long this turn has been?
We do not. Doesn't matter anymore. It's up to the players to dispute. The players are self-timing themselves and checking the other players. So it's gonna be either a self-dispute or it's gonna be a report from the other player to the TO if there is a turn that goes over. So.
Yep. Yeah. What I was talking about with the whole Switch thing was, it actually has between the two zooms, it doesn't change the turtle thing. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so it's under options. There's actually just an option for zoom, and I can't believe that the handheld mode is so small, so large. Like, it feels ridiculous to me, if I'm honest. Also, everything just looks way cleaner when you have the TV zoom. So it's under mission options. And only works on the Switch version, not on the PC version.
Alright, you heard it here first. Gavin XI can confirm that the turtle sprite cuts off on both versions on Switch. TV, handheld zoom, and handheld far. You guys need to know that in the middle of our grand finals. We answer questions here.
Yeah. Yeah, no unit has the cutoff apart from that, I think. It's worth noting that the turtle's actually going outside the border of the map as well, just on the left. I don't know if other units can do that.
Well, I think turtles are really the only... Okay, hold on. We're gonna go do some investigating, guys. Be right back.
See.
The balloon crosses over as well. The ribbon on the balloon. It's not just a turtle. The turtle's not completely broken. Confirmation.
That's great to hear. That there's wow. So there's two broken sprites in this game. what a No Man. This is like No Man's Sky all over again.
Whoa! 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 Whoa!
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
What just happened?
I'm not sure. Was that
I don't know.
Are we misunderstanding something significantly? Like, I will say, RedHalo is probably on the back foot, but nowhere near a surrender level, I feel like.
No, absolutely not. And that wasn't a disconnect, that wasn't anything like that. This is, just to clarify for everybody, this is asynchronous gameplay, right? So if you leave the game, you can come back to it anytime. Like, custom games in this are designed to be, you can play it over the course of days if you wanted
to. Just gonna get confirmation from the TO.
That is... Wow. So, as said, that was definitely not a situation where I think that RedHalo needed to surrender. He had somewhat lost on the left side of the map, but he had a commanding pikeman formation in the middle, Aquanauts in the middle. Okay, I'm getting...
It was difficult for him to turn that into an actual win.
Okay, no, I'm getting confirmation. RedHalo did a full surrender there.
Alright.
Quote, I don't know Ban.
I mean, I do agree he is slightly on the back foot, but... Alright then.
Wow.
That's our first, that is Groove of War. The tournament's over.
Wow. I can see that you... Yeah, I mean, if you don't think you're going to win, if you think it's going to be an uphill battle, then sure, go for the surrender, but...
Yeah.
That, I mean I thought he was being pretty competitive, but he definitely doesn't think he was.
I think he was definitely on the back foot by, like, a fairly large margin, but I don't think it was out of the question to play it out a little longer. I feel like he miscalculated some pikeman movements because he was... I think he was supposed to be in a better attacking formation, but it really was concerning me how bad this formation is to attack, but...
The C game as well, he lost pretty hard.
Yeah.
Not that I expect that, though, you know, that's... We'll see if we can pull up the game state. I mean, a sign of being a good player is knowing, like, when you're gonna lose, and being able to see that well ahead of time. So, I mean, I'm not, like, legitimately surprised that RedHalo would want to surrender, but, I mean... I'm gonna pull up kind of the... I mean... Trying to get a good, view of the... Post of the... Trying to get a good view of the field up to that point of the game. I mean, you can see it here on our screen just from the VOD on this video. Yeah, I suppose, like, the infantry wasn't really that strong for RedHalo. He lost a sea fight. Caesar was probably one of the few win conditions there.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Ash actually come onto the call for a quick post-game interview. We'll offer the same to RedHalo after that. So we'll have that for you guys very soon. But yeah, I mean, look at this map state. I mean, that's not really a great place for RedHalo when you take a second look at it. If I were RedHalo and I were staring at this, and then scrolling down, we can see... Okay, that's a much better view of the map state. So, Daak, I'll quickly shoot you what this looks like on our end. But, I mean, take a look at this. If you're RedHalo and you're the one who's actually playing the game and you see this, I can see why he'd want to surrender that. And most of it has to do with the left side of the map over here and the insane pressure that's going to turn into. Second turtle. RedHalo loses a series, but made a lot of friends along the way. A lot of people seems like a very cheesy thing to say, but a lot of people came into this tournament, made a lot of friends. A lot of intense matches will come to the next tournament for sure. But for now, let's get this call going on here. Try to get Ash on the call. Hey, bud, you there?
Hello. Yeah, I'm here.
Congrats on winning the first Groove of War.
Thank you very much.
I guess we're just gonna go into a few questions. I guess like the first one to come to mind is, what did you think about that relatively early surrender? Pretty abrupt ending there.
I think it was over though. It certainly surprised because expected them to play it out more, but I think that was over. The Naval was entirely mine, and her sort of window of opportunity to push onto Caesar was over because Caesar had his Wargroove up next turn, and it's basically impossible for Mercy to push onto Caesar with that because I can just lethal her really easily.
Right. What Go ahead.
Well, like there's so many different ways lethal that Caesar can really. If I held on to gold, for instance, I could buy a dragon and inspire it the turn it was bought.
Right.
And along with everything else, there's so many ways I can just kill her there. That's kind of an awkward map for Caesar because it's very easy for Mercy to get her out early, but because I was able to stall that village for like 3 or 4 turns, and she wasn't really able to push onto me, and while I was doing that, I was winning in the naval fight. It was pretty huge, I think. That could have gone out a longer, and obviously, like with how early that was in the game, I don't think it was over by any means. There was still a pretty high likelihood of
right. There could have been like a fatal mistake, but I mean, if
it would be very easy
course...
for me to make a ton of misplays,
Right.
But I think ultimately, if I had kept playing it sort of slow and consistent, I think it was
right. It would have been like your game to lose at that point, and would have been very difficult for you to lose it.
I was saying this on stream a minute ago, but I think every time I lose a game of this, I learn a lot from it. I've been like spamming Spearmen and Trebuchets these last weeks, and then I lost the Matex, and I realized that I need to sort of broaden that. I need to be more prepared, I need to fear air more. And then I almost lost to Daak here yesterday, and I think I learned a lot about respecting just not underestimating different strategies and stuff. And then the last game against Halo, I lost because I built a Trebuchet like 3 turns too early.
But at the same time, I think that that was your only loss this tournament. The entire tournament. That was your only game loss, right? And it was to a map-specific strategy too. So I still think that's a pretty good achievement.
It's certainly how I'd rather lose, right? I'd much rather lose. And I was saying since I think every game that I don't lose early, I win, because once it gets into a slower stalemate game where it's much more about you can less likely be outplayed. Like surprisingly, it's just more about consistent positioning and unit composition.
Right.
I think at that point, I can just win, pretty much guaranteed, as long as we stalemate at a certain point. Which is basically what happened in that Caesar game at the end there. We were at a point where. From there on out, the board had sort of neutralized, and from there on, there was not going to be any more surprises. And because of that, it would have just swung in my favor.
I have to ask. We didn't get too much official confirmation on this on our stream, but who picked map 1?
So map 1, Ban Ban Beach, was mine.
Okay.
But Halo chose to be P2. I don't know why.
Oh, interesting.
But, yeah. Then P2 was their choice because I won. They picked Rumbling, I picked P1, and that song and dance went. And then I chose Ban Ban Beach again.
And we were like, I know that. Okay, so I come from the Smash community typically, so when I see a map repeat, I'm always instinctually saying to myself, "Oh, that's not good." Being taken to a map you lost on. We were kind of we were kind of discussing back and forth. Would it actually be beneficial to a Red Halo to play on a map he lost on, having more information this time around? But it seems like you really beat him on the exact same condition, which was winning the naval battle so handily and so fast.
I brought up losing earlier because I think the reason I won that game in such a sort of systematic manner was because I lost the previous one, and it kind of jogged me and went, I need to stop just fucking rushing Trebuchet. Okay? So that game, there were so many times I wanted to build a warship and a Trebuchet, and I went, no, just keep pushing pressure in this naval.
We were joking in game 2 as that situation was unraveling. That man, Ash is just looking for a map to utterly systematically destroy Red Halo on here.
Looking for the slowest map where you can get a stalemate as soon as possible.
That is basically my strategy.
That one condition that you enjoy.
That is the interesting thing about Wargroove, right? Despite being entirely deterministic game, people have such different playstyles, you know? Like, I much prefer slow and income-based sort of choking out, whereas Matex is a little bit timing pushes and aggressive play. It's different playstyles for sure.
So you're going to be the first Groove of War champion. There's going to be more to come, and I know that for next tournament, a lot of the people who were originally beta testers for the game are likely going to enter that second tournament, sort of an honor rule that they didn't join the first one. Who are some players that you think we should watch out for? Do you expect to have the same results?
None of the beta testers. I think they're highly overrated, and that's might get me some flack. But I think anyone who is saying that like these beta testers are scary, I think they're certainly wrong.
So do you think
I've watched a lot of them? I've watched a lot of them play, and I think the other scary players in this game are not the beta testers. I think there are other people.
So who are you most scared of joining this tournament next time around? Or do you think that you're undeniably number one?
Matex and Solofoot are the two other players I respect the most, and I doubt Matex will compete in a tournament, especially if the hours are as poor as this one. Like, I had to play half my games at midnight, you know? Like, some of them went on for so long. Most people can't do that. I luckily have... I luckily keep bad sleep hours anyway, so it wasn't the end of the world, but, you know...
Well, either way, congrats on winning the match in the middle of the morning. No, certainly. There's definitely going to be... I'm only streaming for a tournament, I'm not affiliated with it, so I definitely have to agree and echo that for this tournament next time there needs to be just either restructuring or widening of the schedule, one or the other, but we'll see what happens.
And then also just different time controls will change that as well, just because of how long games in this tournament went. I think we can all agree it was a bit excessive, probably.
I'm not really sure whose fault that was, but I suppose that's true.
I mean,
shame we didn't get to see best of 5 today.
Well, I blame the rules, right? If you give it an amount of time, you should use that time.
Yeah, if it's not against the rules, then I'd end every single turn at 9:59. You know.
But that was actually totally unintentional. I watched back the VOD after yesterday, and I was fucking laughing at how many times I hit like 9:30, 9:50, just totally unintentionally. There was like people in my chat going like 1 minute when it got.
I'm not gonna lie, like I oftentimes, if you're watching my stream, I oftentimes missed a time or two, so you could actually probably add 20 seconds to most of those. So. But we won't tell anyone. Congrats on your grand championship.
There was a shorter timer today. Skits hardened the rule a bit. But, I think I kept to it. I think I played a bit more.
You did great. I guess, final question. I guess we'll sort of segue into these rule changes. How do you feel about... I think no weather is a no-brainer. Do you think no Tenri and no Nuru is also a no-brainer? Because I think we saw we saw a variety of gameplay tonight that we didn't see on any other match of the stream of the tournament. How do you feel about commander bans?
I would be of multiple minds. I think you can always sort of lead up to players in a sense, right? Like, most of my tournament games weren't on Nuru or Tenri. I don't think I played any Tenri, but I think I offered every opponent the opportunity to ban Nuru except for Daak, specifically because he said that it wasn't very strong.
Oof. Daak.
But and I think every person accepted, right? So I played very little Nuru this tournament. And I think that was fine. You know, if people don't want to play things, you can ban them out, or, you know, I think if you want to play Nuri, that option should also be available. You know, I think most people will generally not want to play the overpowereds. Most people prefer variety. And like, the thing is, if you ban the overpowereds, you just end up with the next overpowered, right? Like, most of the games I agreed to ban Nuru, like, we were just Mercia. I had played quite a few Mercia mirrors, you know.
Right.
And when I just banned Nuru, we had Tenri mirrors. So like, I think there are multiple formats you could do. You could also have something where, like, if you win with a character, you can't play them again, so everybody gets like one Nuru game. There's a couple different things you can do. But I think living up to players is probably one of the better options. But, you know, whatever.
Right.
We'll have to see what Skid says.
Well, Ash, congratulations on winning the first Groove of War.
Thank you very much.
Went through a lot of skilled players to get here, but really went 2-0 across the entire time, except getting just rushed by Halo on Strange Schmidt. So I think that's a W. Ash's Twitch channel.
That's the good.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just well deserved.
Right. No, the victory was well deserved. RedHalo competed very well to get that far. took one game from an undefeated player, becoming defeated himself. But shout outs to RedHalo, second place. Tied for third was Story Eater and Daak. No, I thought there was a lot of great gameplay this tournament. I'm happy to see more. Ash, I hope we see you in future tournaments. I hope the schedule can sort of clear up and you're not doing a post-game interview at 5 in the morning.
Hey, it's only 4. That series, despite being a 2-1, went shorter than like all of my other series in the final bracket, so that was nice. But yeah, I will definitely be entering further tournaments. After I just dissed, the beta testers, I think I have to put my own neck on the line, right?
You have to put your title in. Ash's Twitch channel is posted in the chat. Check him out for some great first-person point of view gameplay there. Ash, anyone else you'd like to shout out on your way out today?
Thank you, Bladum, a lot, and Matex for both giving me a lot of advice and helping me out with testing, and Skits for running the tourney. I actually, even though there were, I think, quite a lot of issues, sort of growing pains of the first time, on the whole, I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm really glad someone did set up a tournament. And thanks to everyone who played in it. A tournament is nothing about the players. I know I've run a lot of them, and this one had a lot of good players in it. So, yeah, that's my thanks.
I think that it was a great turnout for a first tournament, and really gave a lot of people a good idea of what the skill ceiling is. All right.
Yeah, I don't think we've even begun to scratch it yet. I made so many misplays this tournament. And I didn't study the maps, at all. By the time we got a competitive pool for the next one, I imagine it'll be much more solved. Which is a good and a bad thing.
That's right.
For sure.
I'm pretty excited to see top players run on competitive maps. But we're going to go ahead and hang it up today, guys. Ash, I'm unfortunately going to have to unceremoniously kick you from the call. That's the best way I can do it from the broadcast perspective.
I'll do it myself. I'll stick my answer. Thank you very much.
Ash leaves the call with dignity rather than getting kicked out of the group. To all of you who watched, thank you so much. Skits, thank you for setting this all up. A fantastic tournament. Definitely some growing pains, but we are confident that you'll get those fixed.
I mean, we started the tournament a day after launch. That's pretty. It went all right.
The growing pains are understandable.
Yep.
Wow. Thank you to Daak. Thank you to MSB. Thank you for Kaal. Thank you to the entire crew who helped me put this together. Wow, I'm just going to go ahead and call it here. I'm Gavin. Check out our streams. Shoot that follow. We'll see you guys next Wargroove tournament.